All right, guys, so we've been talking for a while on reject the empire, embrace the kingdom. So we have some of the homies here, and we're going to talk a little bit about lead by example and teach with your life.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to talk about. So have you ever seen yourself maybe lead by example or teaching with your life, or has somebody else ever done that to you and like, you know what, I'm following that guy?
One person I thought about initially was Saeed, one of our online youth.
I love
dang.
Saeed.
Like, he leads by example and teaches. Like, looking at his Instagram, like knowing him in person, he's one of the few people I know where I'm like, you know what? You live in this.
Yeah.
Because you look at a lot of people on Instagram and you're like, you don't live like this.
Right.
But Saeed, he really, like, he is a natural leader. He was washing dishes at leader events. He doesn't mind doing stuff like that. Like, but he also is like, he's a natural teacher. Like, his life is a lesson for others to learn. And I think Saeed, like, shout out to you, Saeed.
Just like growing up, like my dad had a lot of pastor friends and like, so I was able to kind of see behind the scenes a little bit of how tough it truly is to like work with people and to pastor people. I mean, Pastor Steven is truly one of the most remarkable leaders, and he doesn't just teach well, but he lives well.
Yeah.
Like he's super elegant with his words.
Yep.
But the more I kind of observe him, it just in the few moments I'm like, there's depth to it.
Yeah.
You can't speak about the things he speaks about without him having like that firsthand experience.
Equally elegant with his words and his life.
Dang. I would say my dad. He's like one of the coolest people I know. He wakes up at like 4 a.m, does his Bible study, gets on his bikes like 14 miles, comes back home, takes a shower, drinks his coffee, and is like up before the rest of the house.
Dang.
And like in situations where I'm like, cut it. Everyone deleted, canceled. He's like, he always leads with grace.
Yeah.
And I think that's the kind of stuff that you're like, God must have built you different, because I would have been popping off. They would have had to escort me out. And he's like, he just observes people, and the way that he speaks has gravity to it, because he doesn't just waste his words.
That's right.
And I think that's the kind of leadership that like will outlast you. Like, that's your legacy.
I think one of the most magnetic and attractive qualities someone can have is consistency and discipline.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like anyone that like my youth pastor growing up, my man, same thing. First thing in the morning, he'd read his Bible for an hour and like really dig into the scripture and like try to have meaningful moments with God. It was impossible not to see that and just be drawn to the discipline and the consistency. For me, like he is a pillar of a person in my life who showed me what is possible. And the kind of person that I want to become.
For sure.
And I feel like I really do try to like put myself around people like that.
Yeah.
Like even when I was an intern in the internship program here, one of the first people I met was Mate Hudson.
That's crazy.
And like it's so like
That's real.
I'm like he's got big muscles and stuff, but I feel like it almost represents something more than that.
Okay.
Like and for him too, like he is one of the least flashy people.
Yeah.
But I feel like it represents his consistency, his discipline, his self-care.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's what I want to be.
Yeah.
I don't think I could spend my whole life working out. I don't think I'd look like that, but I still want to be like that.
For sure.
Even though we have these people in our lives who we're like, they teach, but you look at their life, I feel like most of the lessons that I've learned from people who have either been in leadership over me, who have mentored me, it's not by the great things that they've done, it's by the failures that they've recovered from. So I can see like, they made a mistake there, but their recovery, how they cared for me through it, how they went through that mishap in their family, how they went through that trial, I feel like that is what really makes a magnetic leader. Like you said, it's the positive and the negative that makes a magnet. And I feel like how you can handle the positive and the negative is really what makes a great teacher.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, when you were talking about your dad, Gabby, I'm like, there's a legacy that's being like led. And the cool thing is, we'll talk about, if we're being completely honest, like we talked about Kobe, like a little more, after he passed. And that's just his legacy that he left behind, and we do that with so many other people. And to think of like, there's somebody who is maybe even watching this or whatever, that might be like, dang, I didn't have like a father figure or whatever. But I mean, for me, my dad passed away 3 weeks before I was getting married.
Wild.
So that was, I'm talking tough. But I saw my brother, my mom, like, I'm getting married, so it's like, it's a huge day. And I see all them, like, we're all dealing with pain. We're dealing with some tough times. But it's like, but this is a big moment for my brother.
Wow.
You know, it's like my mom is like, this is a big moment for my son. So like, we're gonna step up, we're gonna still accomplish this thing, and we're gonna hurt together. But thinking back of my dad, it's like, there's a legacy. Even in like the little things, I mean, I'm almost 100% sure, almost, that your dad's not waking up at 9 a.m. like, this is for my legacy right now. It's like, no, he's just doing something because it's a discipline. He's like, I'm gonna be praying for my kids, but that is leaving a legacy.
Right.
So, I mean, when my dad was alive, he was leading a living legacy. So he was alive and there's a legacy being built there.
Yeah.
So it's like, if I can realize myself that like, when I'm gone, I'm not trying to turn this thing and get mad dark, but I'm just saying, it's like, when I'm gone, it's like, what am I gonna be remembered by?
Right.
What legacy did I leave behind? Did I teach anything with my life? Did I
Right.
really set an example with anything? It's just like a tough pill
That
to
is a
swallow,
tough
you
pill.
know?
It is. It's kind of tough to even like go to that space mentally.
Dang.
To think about like, dang, have I done anything like worth remembering?
Yeah.
The things that we are doing now, we won't see the fruit
Yeah.
of until years from now.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If not decades from now,
Absolutely.
or if not in our children's lives.
Yep.
It's extremely challenging for me though, because when you were talking about how like we appreciate legends so much more once they're gone.
Yeah.
Right.
When I leave here, I'm shifting my perspective to appreciate legends in everyday life.
That's real.
That's
Because
good.
I
That's
feel like
real.
if we're able to shift our minds and be like, you know what, my mom is a legend. My e-group leader, that's
Yeah.
a legend.
Yep.
I'm not gonna wait until I don't have the opportunity to be
That's
grateful
real,
for
bro.
them, to be grateful for them.
Wow.
I can see them right now, so I'm gonna be like, you know what, mom, I love you.
Absolutely.
I thank you for what you have done for me.
Yep.
You know what, e-group leader, you were there for me when I was down bad. That'll make somebody's day,
Yeah.
and it'll put you in a posture of gratitude.
Right.
Which
Yep.
are like, I feel like that's just key.
Yeah.
Youth Pastor Tim talked about it in the last Real Talk with Gina. Basically, your choices today are going to establish your patterns for like 10 years from now. I think that's the kind of leadership. Like, leadership isn't necessarily, oh, we're going to do this huge grand gesture. We're going to build a new church. And it can be that. But I think it's like the small things, the small conversations that you hold on to. With the decisions that we're making today, we're essentially deciding, hey, the person that's going to come fill my spot, or the people that are going to be around me, how am I setting them up for success? Because it's bigger than us.
Absolutely.
Like, we're the ones who are gonna be leading the next generation into whatever they're gonna walk into. And if we're not setting them up for success, then that points to a deficit in our leadership.
Yeah. So how do you lead with your life? Like, how do you lead by example? And it's the daily seeds that you're planting.
Right.
It's the daily things that you're doing that maybe nobody else sees. Maybe in a month or two, you start to see a little bit of fruit. There's a lot of pain, a lot of struggle that no one's gonna see you go
Right.
through in your private life, but that's a seed that you're planting.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So I think the little things in your life, how you deal with anger, how you deal with frustration or tough things that are going on, how you deal with all that, those are little seeds that you're planting that then it's gonna grow eventually, and that's how you lead with your life.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't need a microphone. You don't need a huge stage to lead and live with excellence and do it with your life. You don't need all that.
With this volume,
Yeah.
the Timothy verse that we've been studying,
Yeah.
you're not too young to start today
Yep.
building your legacy. Like, the decisions you're making today are gonna set up. If you have siblings, they're looking up to you.
Yeah, you're right.
Your friends are looking up to you. The people in your e-group are looking up to you. And that's not to put pressure on you, but it's to say that what you're doing today has gravity. And so, like, don't discredit yourself to think like, oh, I'm just 14. There's no way that anyone cares what I have to think. Like, we care.
Yeah.
We see it. Don't miss the opportunities you have right now to make an impact and to teach with your life and to lead by example, because people are watching more than you think that they are.
Yeah.
The way that you're behaving and carrying yourself could be the thing that makes someone decide, oh, I can do that too.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do that too.
That's great. So I mean, I wonder how are y'all leading with your life? You know, how are you being an example? Drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Encourage somebody. Maybe you don't even have to know them to
Yeah.
really be like, hey, you're doing an amazing job.
Right.
So drop it in the comments. How are you encouraging somebody? How are you helping them? How are you being an example?
Yeah.
Drop that. We need that.
We believe in the youth.
Like.
Comment.
Share.
And subscribe. All right. So we've been doing. I blanked on everything.
I like that. It felt good.
Hey.
I was
So
with
we-
you. Always
You gotta get
reject
rid of-
first. It's just like in a relationship.
Reject?
Reject her before she tries to embrace you. Or no.
That's
Wait.
No, it's
That's not.
All right, friends. So we've been talking for a while about reject the empire.
Yeah.
You believe me though. You believe me
I'm
though.
still with
That
you.
was good.
Believe me though.
You better keep all this in. This better be a freaking meme edit.
Blooper reel.